Good morning. Going to be reading chapters 3 and 4 in the book of Leviticus. We're going to read about the fellowship offering and sin offerings, I do believe. So let's get started. The fellowship offering. Sacrifice, and he is presenting an animal from the herd, whether male or female. He is to present one without blemish before the Lord. He is to lay his hand on the head of his offering and slaughter it at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Then Aaron's sons, the priest, will splatter the blood on all sides of the earth. He will present part of the fellowship sacrifice as a fire offering to the Lord. The fat surrounding the entrails and all the fat that is on the entrails and the 2 kidneys with the fat on them at the loins. He will also remove the fatty lobe of the liver with the kidneys. Aaron's sons will burn it on the altar along with the burnt offering that is on the burning wood. Good morning, Lord. A fire offering of a pleasing aroma to the Lord. If his offering as a fellowship sacrifice to the Lord is from the flock, he is to present a male or female without blemish. If he is presenting a lamb for his offering, he is to present it before the Lord. His offering, then slaughter it before the tent of meeting. Aaron's sons will splatter its blood on the sides of the altar. He will then present part of the fellowship sacrifice as a fire offering to the Lord, consisting of its fat and the entire fat tail, which he is to remove close to the backbone. He will also remove the fat surrounding the entrails, all the fat on the entrails, the 2 kidneys with the fat on them at the loins, and the fatty lobe of the liver above the kidneys. Then the priest will burn the altar as a fire offering to the Lord. If his offering is a goat, he is to present it before the Lord. He must lay his hand on its head and slaughter it before the tent of meeting. Aaron's sons will splatter its blood on all sides of the altar. He will present part of his offering as a fire offering to the Lord. The fat surrounding the entrails, all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with the fat on them at the loins. He will also remove the fatty lobe of the liver with the kidneys. Then the priest will burn the food on the altar as a word. This is a permanent statute of blood. The sin offering. Anything prohibited by them. If the anointed priest sins, bringing guilt on the people, he is to present to the Lord a young, unblemished bull as a sin offering. The sin bull it 7 times before the Lord in front of the curtain of the sanctuary. The priest is to apply some of the blood to the horns of the altar, a fragrant incense that is before the Lord in the tent of meeting. He must pour out the rest of the bull's blood at the base of the altar, a burnt offering that is at the entrance to the tent of the meeting. He is to remove all the fat from the bull of the sin offering, the fat surrounding the entrails, all the fat is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with the fat on them at the loins. He will also remove the fatty lobe of the liver with the kidney, just as the fat is removed from the ox of the fellowship sacrifice. The priest is to burn them on the altar, burnt offering. I cannot read again today. Goodness. Oh my goodness. But they have the bull and all its flesh with its head and legs and its entrails and waist. All the rest of the bull he must bring to a ceremonially clean place outside the camp, to the ash heap. Oh my God. I'm reading like a 3rd grader. And must burn it on a wood of fire. It is to be burned at the ash heap. Now, if the whole community of Israel errs, and the matter escapes the notice of the assembly, so that they violate any of the Lord's commands and incur guilt by doing what is prohibited, then the assembly must present a young bull as a sin offering. They are to bring it before the tent of meeting when the sin they have committed in regard to the command becomes known. The elders of the community are to lay their hands on the bull's head before the Lord. Take your time. I'm trying to. I'm naturally a fast reader, like when I read inside my head. So I don't know. I feel like it's easier to read inside my head. It is to be slaughtered before the Lord. The anointed priest will bring some of the bull's blood into the tent of meeting. The priest is to dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord in front of the curtain. He is to apply some of the blood to the horns of the altar that is before the Lord in the tent of meeting. He will pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar, a burnt offering that is the entrance to the tent of meeting. He is to remove all the fat from it, burn it on the altar. He is to offer the bull just as he did with the bull and the sin offering. He will offer it the same way. So the priest will make atonement on their behalf, and they will be forgiven. Then he will bring the bull outside the camp and burn it just as he burned the first bull. It is the sin offering for the assembly. When a leader sins and unintentionally violates any of the commands of the Lord his God by doing what is prohibited and incurs guilt, or someone informs him about the sin he has committed, he is to bring an unblemished male goat as his offering. He is to lay his hand on the head of the goat and slaughter it at the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered before the Lord. It is a sin offering. Then the priest is to take some of the blood from the sin offering with his finger and apply it to the horns of the altar of burnt offering. The rest of his blood he is to pour out at the base of the altar for burnt offering. He must burn all its fat on the altar, like the fat of the fellowship sacrifice. In this way, the priest will make atonement on his behalf for the person's sin, and he will be forgiven. Now, if any of the common people sins unintentionally by violating one of the Lord's commands, he does what is prohibited and incurs guilt. Or if someone informs him about the sin he has committed, then he is to bring an unblemished female goat as his offering for the sin that he has committed. He is to lay his hand on the head of the sin offering and slaughter it as a burnt offering. The priest is to take some of its blood with his finger and apply it to the horns of the altar of burnt offering. He is to pour out the rest of its blood at the base of the altar. He is to remove all its fat, just as the fat is removed from the fellowship sacrifice. The priest is to burn it on the altar as a pleasing aroma to the Lord and on his behalf, and he will be forgiven. Or if the offering that he brings as a sin offering is a lamb, he is to bring an unblemished female. He is to lay his hand on the head of the sin offering and slaughter it as a sin offering at the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. Then the priest is to take some of the blood of the sin offering with his apply it to the horns of the altar of burnt offering. He is to pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. He is to remove all its fat, just as the fat of the lamb is removed from the fellowship sacrifice. The priest will burn it on the altar along with the fire offerings to the Lord. In this way, the priest will make atonement on his behalf for the sin he has committed, and he will be forgiven. I feel like there is of repetitiveness. There is. And that's why I keep stumbling over my words. So I'm like, wait, then how do you read the sentence? But no, it's like a little bit different each time. So tomorrow we're going to read chapters 5 and 6. We're going to read about the cases requiring sin offerings, the guilt offerings, the burnt offerings, and the grain offerings, and some more about the sin offerings. It's a lot. What kind of freaking rules? I can't wait till we get out of all this offering stuff and get into like some really good Bible stories like David. I love reading about King David. Saul who turned into Paul and stuff like that, because this repetitiveness trips me up. And it's like, wait, what did I just read? And I have to go back and reread it after I read it aloud and like actually think about it, because it's so repetitive, I feel like. I mean, it's repetitive for a good reason, but still. All right, so tomorrow we'll read 5 and 6. And now I'm going to cut off this live and we're going to go straight into this. Yeah, those are great stories. Yeah, like my favorite book in the Bible is the book of Job. I really like Esther and the book of Revelations, just because I feel like the people who are on this earth when they're going through the tribulation and all that stuff, I feel like that's like a freaking sight to see. Not that I want to be here, of course nobody would want to be here and go through all of that, but that's just like a sight to see, man. It happens to me. Yeah, happens to me too.